Hello there guys, welcome to one of my live videos, and on this video there is lots to negotiate about, so I am going to be giving you an update on some more transfer news. So there is huge developments on Jadon, Sancho and Jude Bellingham, so I am just going to be giving you now the latest on Jadon Sancho. So like I updated you guys yesterday, Jadon Sancho came out and revealed that he wants a transfer completed in July. Now, obviously, several clubs have expressed their interest in Jadon Sancho. Now, I've just been reading recent reports, and it does say that Jurgen Klopp has held negotiations with Liverpool's owners FSG over transfers for Timo Werner and Jadon Sancho. Now, from my own perception, I'm very, very sceptical that Jadon Sancho will go to Liverpool because, like I mentioned, he wouldn't be guaranteed to get in the team week in, week out unless Liverpool, did sell one of their attacking trio in either Salah, Firmino or Mane. And the same sort of thing with Timo Werner. There's also been other narratives in the media coming out saying that, Manchester United and Chelsea could actually, end their chase in Jadon Sancho due to the coronavirus pandemic. So this is the reason why. So some clubs' transfer business could be affected due to this coronavirus. Now, obviously, Borussia Dortmund have already quoted out how much they want for Jadon Sancho, and he is going to cost at least £100 million, maybe even £120 million that Jadon Sancho is going to cost. But I think Jadon Sancho has revealed that Manchester United, is his number one choice. Now, we've been relentlessly linked with the player. We was relentlessly linked to him last year, but the main explanation why we didn't get him last year is because, we failed to qualify for the Champions League. Also, too, Juventus have expressed their interest. Real Madrid have been in for the player, but it's looking very, very likely he is going to be leaving Borussia Dortmund is Jadon Sancho. Obviously, Sky in Germany did report out back in February, which was last month, saying that he's made a decision on his future and he's expected to leave Dortmund at the end of the season. Now, of course, Jadon Sancho is in his third season as a Borussia Dortmund player. Obviously, earlier on in the season, he was dropped in quite a lot of games, was Jadon Sancho. But in his two previous seasons, he has been a revelation. And also the beneficial thing is that, he has played in the Premier League because Jadon Sancho did endure 2 years with Manchester City, but never really got assured any first team opportunities at Manchester City. So this is the main explanation why I left Manchester City to join Borussia Dortmund in that. And like I said, I think he's scored around 32 goals in 90 appearances since his arrival at Dortmund, and he's still got around 2 years remaining on his contract. And I think it did say as well that Man United are willing to offer him a big contract worth in the region of £200,000 a week. So if we were to get Jadon Sancho in the summer, he would be our most expensive signing, and of course he would be a record signing in the Premier League. Now, of course, Dortmund have actually confirmed that they're expected to lose Jadon Sancho at the end of the season. So obviously, they're going to want an adequate replacement for him. Yes, they are going to want an adequate replacement for the player. But Jadon Sancho, would fit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's transfer strategy perfectly, because don't forget, Solskjaer still wants to continue the policy of recruiting young players to Manchester United, because I think Jadon Sancho has just recently turned 20 years of age. Yes, he has in that. But yeah, the Borussia Dortmund CEO, he came out a couple of weeks ago and actually, reiterated if Jadon Sancho still has got the same perception and he still wants to leave, they will negotiate a transfer. And this is, what the CEO had said. But yeah, and also to the European expert came out the other week and confirmed that Jadon Sancho will be in the Premier League next season. But I do expect, Manchester United to complete the signing of the player. Like I mentioned, he's a prolific goal scorer, he can create chances, his runs on and off the ball are very, very good, and I think he would complement our attacking line really, really well. And obviously, don't forget, he knows Marcus Rashford really, really well because they are both English, and obviously they're both English in that. He'd go well in our attacking line with Jadon Sancho, I've got to be quite honest with you, but he is our number one priority target for the summer transfer window. But revert back to what I said, a lot of clubs have expressed their interest in the player. Obviously, Borussia Dortmund will look at it from a financial point of view and they'll go, look, we're going to get at least £100 million for him. We got him from next to nothing for Manchester City a couple of years ago. They only paid around £7 or £8 million him from Man City, but reflecting on his good performances in the few years he's been with Dortmund, his valuation has persistently grown, has the players. He is predominantly a right winger, and of course Manchester United are in search for a right winger. Occasionally he can play Jadon Sancho centrally in that. But, like I said, he'd go well alongside the likes of James, Martial, Rashford, Mason Greenwood and Bruno Fernandes and that in our attacking line. So I'm very, very hopeful that Man United can get Jadon Sancho in the summer. Now, I'm going to give you the news on Jude Bellingham. I have been talking with you guys about Jude Bellingham on a regular basis. Now, obviously, Borussia Dortmund actually want Bellingham to replace Jadon Sancho. Now, of course, as you all know, reports were emerging out last week saying that Manchester United had offered Jude Bellingham a contract worth around £100,000 a week, obviously to blow Borussia Dortmund out of the water. But recent reports have come out today saying that, our contract offer for Jude Bellingham is actually, less than Borussia Dortmund's bid, so that's actually a talking point. Now, I think Borussia Dortmund are emerged as the favourites to sign Jude Bellingham because reports came out the other week saying that reportedly he'd agreed terms to join Borussia Dortmund. Don't forget Bayern Munich and also Chelsea have expressed their interest in the player. Now, obviously, we're obsessed about the idea of signing Jude Bellingham. Obviously, he's going to cost us in the region of around £30 million because this is what Birmingham have quoted out that they want for the player. Don't forget, Jude Bellingham is in his first season in the senior squad with Birmingham, but I've got to admire him because I think he's been a revelation this season for Birmingham City as Jude Bellingham. He's been persistently playing. I think he's played around 30 odd games this season in all competitions for Birmingham, and he became the youngest player to ever represent Birmingham. He made his debut at the age of 16 years and 38 days, did the player, and I think his contract does expire in 2021, but he is going to be signing his professional contract this summer, of course, when he does turn 17. Now, I give him my own perception on Jude Bellingham, and I don't think his Premier League standard is yet, and I don't think he's at that elite level. I think Birmingham City need to give him at least another season in the Championship, obviously to gain more experience. And obviously, if they want to give him another season in the Championship and Bellingham wants to replicate what he's done this season, then he'd probably be worth more than £30 million. So Birmingham City have got to look at it that way. But Birmingham know how much of an imperative player he is. Now, obviously, a lot of speculation was fueled up the other week because obviously, Jude Bellingham had visited our Carrington training ground, obviously to hold talks with Sir Alex Ferguson, also to his parents came there to have negotiations with Ed Woodward, so that did fuel a lot of transfer speculation up. Bellingham, of course, has been at Birmingham for the entirety of his career so far. I think he's been a Birmingham player since he was the age of 8. He's predominantly number 10, but you can also put him on the right hand side. So that's the latest news on Jadon Sancho and Jude Bellingham. But Solskjaer has revealed he wants to make around 3 signings in this summer transfer window because he does believe we need around 3 signings, to become title contenders. So he wants to make around 3 or 4 signings. Also, too, Solskjaer has identified the areas where he thinks Manchester United need to strengthen up, but already he's strengthened some of the problematic areas. Don't forget, he believes Manchester United do need a centre forward, he believes we need a right winger, and he also believes that we do need a central midfielder in that. And I think around 5 players are expected to also leave the football club in the summer. So it is good that Solskjaer's making plans for the summer. Don't forget, Ed Woodward's determined to back Solskjaer because don't forget a while back Ed Woodward had laid the foundations for long-term success with him. And also too, the Glazers have been recently talking, saying, they're determined to back Solskjaer. Obviously, the Glazers have been here since 2005. They've been here 15 years now. Ed Woodward has been here since 2012, so he's been here around 8 years. But and a lot of our players, are still determined to back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and that, Obviously, I'm going to also give you some latest news now on Harry Kane. I've actually, been talking with you guys a lot about Harry Kane on a regular basis because Harry Kane has been subjected to a lot of transfer speculation. Now, I've actually, just been reading the Daily Express. Now, these narratives are totally comparison to the ones that were coming out, the other day and that. And they're reportedly now saying that Tottenham are convinced that they can keep Harry Kane for this season. obviously, due to the coronavirus pandemic. And reportedly, it did say Tottenham would demand around £250 million if they were, to soften their stance on Harry Kane. Now, obviously, Tottenham do know how much of an imperative player he is. Now, of course, Harry Kane has come out and indicated out that, he wants to basically leave Tottenham in the summer because he feels infuriated at Tottenham. And obviously, he's unhappy playing under Jose Mourinho's guidance. And obviously, Harry Kane basically wants to rejuvenate his career because he hasn't won out in terms of silverware during his time with Tottenham. And Kane has been at Tottenham for several years. I think he's been their senior squad since 2011. Don't forget though, he has won the Golden Boot a couple of times as Harry Kane. But yeah, he's been there for several years. Obviously, had a few loan spells with Leyton Orient, Millwall, Norwich and Leicester. I think in total for Tottenham he's scored 181 goals in all competitions, and he's scored 130 odd goals in the Premier League as Harry Kane. Don't forget, back in the summer of 2018, Harry Kane had signed a new long-term contract with Tottenham. He signed a 6-year contract worth around £200,000 a week. Yes, he did, and now as it stands, he's got 4 years remaining on his current contract as Kane. But yeah, like I mentioned, a few clubs have been in for him. Man United, Real Madrid, also too Man City have expressed their interest. But don't forget, John Barnes recently came out and actually urged Harry Kane to remain loyal to Tottenham and that. Obviously, Harry Kane has been out with injury for a couple of months. He has been out with a hamstring injury, has Harry Kane and that. He has been out with a hamstring injury, has Harry Kane. But like I mentioned, a few clubs have expressed their interest in the player and that. Now, obviously, he's 26 years of age, so he has still got a lot of years ahead of him, basically. But, Tottenham do know how much of an imperative player he is. Obviously, Tottenham can't win anything in terms of silverware this season because they're not in the FA Cup. They're no longer in the Champions League. So Tottenham's hopes now is to get qualification for the Champions League. Obviously, there's reports saying if Tottenham don't get any European football, then Jose Mourinho would have only £50 million to spend in the summer transfer window and that's if Jose Mourinho is still Tottenham manager in that. But like I mentioned, Tottenham have lost quite a few of their imperative players. Don't forget they lost Eriksen in January to Inter Milan. They also lost Danny Rose, obviously, don't forget back in 2013 they lost Gareth Bale to Real Madrid. They also did lose Luka Modric to Real Madrid in that. And obviously, they've got a few injuries of Tottenham, so obviously, they'll want to keep hold of Harry Kane in that. But basically, we're seeing Harry Kane as an adequate replacement for Romelu Lukaku, basically. Because obviously, we need a replacement for Romelu Lukaku, and I do know that Manchester United have obviously got Odion Ighalo. He's enjoyed a fantastic start to his Manchester United career as Odion Ighalo. Like I mentioned, he's got 4 goals in 3 starts for the club, and he's provided a couple of assists. And like I mentioned, his total comparison to our other attacking players is Odion Ighalo and that, because like Solskjaer was recently saying, he is an option of a different type of centre forward, and I think his hold-up play is very, very good, but Odion Ighalo's been a Man United fan since he was a boy, and Solskjaer did recently make an admission saying that he could decide to make his transfer permanent and that, because at the moment we've got Odion Ighalo on a 6-month loan. Obviously, we're paying a third of his wages, but we'll probably, we'll end up getting him on a permanent transfer. But like I mentioned, he's a good cover up to Rashford because obviously, Rashford is out with a back injury. I think he's going to be out at least for the next couple of weeks. And like I mentioned, Rashford's been one of our best players this season, of course, when he was fully fit. And up until this point, Rashford has spent the entirety of his career with Manchester United. He's been a United player since the age of 7, and he's been in our senior squad since 2016. But since he broke into our senior squad, he's become an integral part of the team as Rashford. Obviously, he's enjoyed some bad spells in that, but he is a big miss in the team and that. But even if we get Odion Ighalo on a permanent transfer, revert back to what I said, I still believe Manchester United need a striker. But, it would be difficult to get Harry Kane anywhere because, as you all know, Daniel Levy, who's the Tottenham chairman, is a very, very hard negotiator when it comes to, trying to get any of Tottenham's players. So Harry Kane, Tottenham are reportedly convinced he will remain with them. I already given you the news, didn't I, regarding Romelu Lukaku. Obviously, he's been talking a lot about Solskjaer recently, and I've got to give Lukaku a lot of credit because, he's been backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he's backed Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, does Lukaku, because Lukaku believes that we're going under the right direction under him, and he believes that, we're making the right decisions, and he also believes that, we are recruiting the right players in, does Lukaku. We'll probably now come to regret the decision ever letting him go. Of course, Lukaku endured 2 years at Manchester United and obviously was a prolific goal scorer, scored 42 goals in 96 games for the club in all competitions. And I've got to say, Lukaku was exceptional in his first season at the football club, but didn't really replicate that in his second season. And now he's doing really, really well at Inter Milan. But we looked at it from a financial point of view and would have been happy because we got £70 million for Lukaku's departure. So let's just put that into the equation. But Solskjaer revealed last September that we did make the right decision by getting rid of Romelu Lukaku and that. Yes, we did. So, yeah, and obviously another striker has been on our agenda, and I've been talking with you a lot about him, and that's Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang from Arsenal. Now, he's definitely expected to leave Arsenal in the summer, is Aubameyang. Now, obviously, Arsenal have given their overarching view on it, and obviously, Arsenal, have come to accept the fact, obviously, that he will not be signing a new deal with them, and Arsenal will want to cash in for him this summer rather than letting go on a free transfer in the summer of 2021, because that's when Aubameyang's current contract does expire and that. Now, obviously, quite a few clubs have expressed their interest. Man United, Barcelona, PSG, Chelsea, Liverpool. I also do believe that Inter Milan now have entered the race for the player because they're looking for a replacement for Lautaro Martinez, because he's expected to leave, and I think Barcelona have also been in for him. Now, I think Aubameyang is valued at around £50 million, and it did say that Man United were planning to put around the £50 million bid in for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Now, he's a very, very good player, is Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. He's predominantly a central striker, but you can also put him out wide, Aubameyang. But his finishing's good, his movement's good, and I think he'd be a great addition to the squad, would Aubameyang, if he did come to Manchester United. Now, obviously, like I mentioned, we've done business with Arsenal in the past. Obviously, we got Sanchez from them back in January 2018. We thought he'd have been an exceptional signing. Turned out he was a flop. And I thought he would have been an exceptional signing, because Sanchez enjoyed a good 3.5, 4 years with Arsenal. Also played under Guardiola's guidance when he was younger. So I was surprised that he didn't exceed expectations, Sanchez. He enjoyed a difficult 18 months at Man United. Also, too, we got Robin van Persie from Arsenal back in 2012. He basically won us the league. He won us the league in 2013, you can say, reflecting on the amount of goals that he scored on Robin van Persie. So we'd be hopeful if we could get Aubameyang that, he could, replicate, Robin van Persie. Now, obviously, Aubameyang's been at Arsenal since January 2018. Arsenal did pay 56 million for him from Dortmund, so he's actually one of Arsenal's most expensive signings. He's one of Arsenal's highest paid players as well. Obviously, he's scored 49 goals in 75 Premier League appearances for Arsenal. I think 61 goals in all competitions for them. Obviously, before he was at Arsenal, he was at Borussia Dortmund. He was good during his time in Germany. Was at St Etienne, Monaco, Lille. I think he actually began his career in Milan. By the way, Aubameyang is 30 years of age. So he's been another striker on Manchester United's agenda in that. So yeah, so that's basically, the latest on the transfer news. But obviously we do know that since Solskjaer's come in, he's recruited 5 players to the team, and he's enjoyed so far 3 transfer windows at Manchester United. Obviously, he's spent around £220 million as Solskjaer at the football club at the moment. That's how much he's spent. That's how much is spent at the football club, and I do believe Man United are going to spend a substantial amount in the summer on bringing more players in. But like I mentioned, it still remains unknown whether Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to be Manchester United manager next season anywhere. It still remains unknown. Now, obviously, there's still some reports emerging out saying that if Manchester United fail to get qualification for the Champions League, that, Solskjaer could be sacked and we will recommend Mauricio Pochettino in. But if Man United were to get qualification for the Champions League, I think Solskjaer, would be given at least another season at Manchester United. And like I mentioned, we've got quite a few ambitions this season, and one of those ambitions is to win the Europa League, because it's another route to Champions League football, plus it's a chance for us getting some silverware on the board. And also we are emerged as one of the favourites to win the competition. Also, the FA Cup is a priority for us, because we are into the quarterfinals for the 6th season in a row. And also, we can still finish in that top 4, because it stands at the moment we are only 3 points behind top 4. But 5th place is a Champions League spot anyway, reflecting on Manchester City's ban from the Champions League for the next 2 seasons. So there's actually quite a few explanations why I think Solskjaer should be given another season at Manchester United, because it is a transition period, and like Solskjaer revealed at the beginning of the year, he's hopeful that we can get through this transition period. And Solskjaer knows if he's given another season at the club that he's got many expectations to exceed. And if we get the right calibre players this summer, maybe the expectations going on into next season will be to challenge for the title. But next season, we hope to enjoy a better season than we have done this season, to be quite honest with you, because we've enjoyed our worst start ever to a Premier League season. But a lot of teams have been inconsistent in the Premier League this season, so let's just put that into the equation. But Man United have been in a really, really good run of form. We are unbeaten in our last 11 games in all competitions. This is our best vein of form since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the interim manager. But a lot of aspects of our game have really, really improved recently. We're creating more chances, we're scoring more goals. Our football looks more expansive, we defensively look better, and that's very, very good to see. And Solskjaer did recently reveal his philosophy at Manchester United, and he wants us to play attacking football under his management and that. So Solskjaer does deserve a lot of credit, recently, because his approach to games have been good. He showed a lot of tactical flexibility, and for the vast majority of this season, he's actually, being tactically naive. Obviously, I think from my own perception, we look much better with the 3-5-2 formation, because we look more expansive with the 3-5-2 formation. Maybe Solskjaer believes it's beneficial to go with the 3-5-2 against elite opposition, and maybe, stick with the 4-2-3-1 against low opposition. But we have been going with a 4-2-3-1 formation on a regular basis this season, but from my own perception, that doesn't really seem to suit our standards, the 4-2-3-1 formation. But I've got to say, our record against the big 6 sides this season has been tremendous, under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and that. So I've got to give him a lot of credit for that. But Solskjaer has now been at Man United 15 months, so he has been at the football club over the year. It remains to be unknown whether Solskjaer will last longer than Jose Mourinho, because Jose Mourinho, of course, endured 2.5 years at Manchester United. He endured 2.5 years at Manchester United, did Jose Mourinho, on that. He's been our longest serving manager since the Ferguson era. But I give you the main explanations why it didn't work out under Mourinho, because Mourinho had bad disputes with the board, bad disputes with the top players and that. And the board weren't backing the signings that I wanted to recommend in the summer of 2018 and that. And don't forget Solskjaer. Solskjaer was recently, talking about how he had to overhaul Manchester United, when Jose Mourinho, of course, got sacked in December 2018 and that. And he explained, a lot of things needed changing at Manchester United, after, he got sacked, the things that need to be changed, the tactics and the players and all of that, because Solskjaer is still inheriting the vast majority of Jose Mourinho's players. But since Solskjaer's coming, he's give everybody their chances, because when he first got recommended and he said, the players will get their chances to express themselves. He said that at the start of this season, the young players would get given their opportunities, and I think we've got the youngest squad in the Premier League this season. But the young players have been impressive. Mason Greenwood's done really, really well. I've been very, very impressed with Brandon Williams. Got to give him a lot of credit. Garner's played in a couple of games this season. I think Tuan Zebe's done really, really well. Don't forget, he's just come back from injury for Manchester United. So, Angel Gomez, don't really have a perception on him, because he's seldom played this season as Angel Gomez. And Solskjaer revealed the reason why is because there's uncertainty over Angel Gomez's future and that. So we need to resolve Gomez's future. But I think Solskjaer is keen on keeping him at the football club. Chong, we know that he's going to be staying, because don't forget the other week he signed a new 2-year deal with Manchester United and that. Solskjaer is inexperienced as a manager, But, you know, like I mentioned, the longer he stays in the job, he's gaining more experience in that. But he's got like 2 years remaining on his contract as Solskjaer. But like I mentioned, a lot of money's been spent at Man United in the last 6 or 7 years in all the managerial eras since the Ferguson era. And like I mentioned, we've had different managers with different philosophies. Of course, under Moyes, he brought Fellaini and Juan Mata in. Juan Mata's still here. Obviously, under Van Gaal, you know, Van Gaal brought players like Schneiderlin, Sebastian Schweinsteiger, Blind, Di Maria, Falcao, Memphis Depay. You know, he brought all them players in. There's still some players here now from the Van Gaal era, and like I mentioned, Jose Mourinho brought a hell of a lot of players in and that. So basically, you know, Solskjaer is still in the process of rebuilding this Manchester United team. So let's just put that into the equation and that. Obviously, you know, earlier on today, I gave you the news, didn't I, regarding Paul Pogba. Obviously, you know, it's not assured that Paul Pogba will leave the football club in the summer, but from my own perception, I think Paul Pogba is going to leave Manchester United in the summer. Don't forget, the other week, there was a lot of reports coming out saying, you know, that Paul Pogba, you know, was interested in staying at Manchester United, so basically wanted to remain loyal, and he was interested in extending his contract at the football club. And I think the main explanation for this is because he's aware of the impacts that Bruno Fernandes has made. This is what he's aware of, and he believes he can form a partnership with Bruno Fernandes. And I think Solskjaer, you know, is excited about the prospects of, you know, Bruno Fernandes and Paul Pogba playing as a partnership in our midfield. Now, Dimitar Berbatov has given his overarching view on it, and he believes Man United should keep Pogba, but he doesn't believe that, you know, Bruno Fernandes and Pogba can play as a partnership in our midfield and that, because they've got similarities in their styles. So this is, you know, what basically, you know, Dimitar Berbatov had said. Now, obviously, you know, last week, you know, reports were totally comparison to the ones that were coming out the other week, because obviously it did say, you know, Paul Pogba is going to be sold this summer by Manchester United, and it did say, you know, we're willing to let him go for just £100 million. So I think we've slashed around £80 million off his asking price, because last summer, don't forget, Man United demanded £180 million for Paul Pogba. And that was a stumbling block of him making his move to Madrid, because Madrid were not willing to pay what we was demanding for the player, basically, in that. But yeah, reportedly now we're willing to take £100 million. Of course, Paul Pogba's agent, Mini Raiola, has been talking. He's been talking a lot since the turn of the year. And, you know, recently he's been saying, you know, he wants to take a great footballer to Real Madrid in the summer, meaning Paul Pogba. And he also did say he's having a complicated time at Manchester United, and that is Paul Pogba. Now, obviously, like I updated you today, reports came out yesterday saying that Ed Woodward has been back in negotiations with Mini Raiola, basically to resolve Paul Pogba's future and to stop Mini Raiola making public attacks against the club, because he has been making a lot of public attacks against the club this year. Don't forget, you know, he's received a lot of criticism, Raiola, of what he's been saying, you know, about the club in general. Obviously, he criticised Neville earlier on in the year. You know, obviously he was saying like Paul Pogba is not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's property. So these are some of the stuff that his agent Mini Raiola was coming out and saying. Now, obviously, you know, Paul Pogba's appearances at the club have been limited this season. He's only managed to play 8 times this season. Paul Pogba's, you know, appearances have been limited. And, you know, obviously he has been stepping up his fitness regime. You know, he was training indoors last week. He had some personal coaching with Michael Carrick and that. We paid £89 million for Pogba. He is our most expensive signing at the moment. But since he rejoined the football club from Juventus back in 2016, he's just had a long-running transfer saga. So I just basically think, you know, Man United do need to resolve his future and that. This is what Manchester United do need to do. But as it stands at the moment, he's got 2 years remaining on his contract. So that's basically, you know, the news on Pogba. Like I mentioned, I expect around 4 or 5 players to leave Manchester United in the summer. I think Jones is going to go. I think Lingard and Pereira are going to go. Solskjaer did confirm, you know, they're expected to leave in the summer. Sanchez, he'll go on a permanent transfer, I should presume. Rojo, he'll also go on a permanent transfer. But yeah, there's still a lot of players, you know, at Manchester United, definitely I would be determined to keep. Man United, like I mentioned, one of the biggest clubs in the world, with a fantastic history, a fantastic fan base, most successful team in England, don't forget. And Solskjaer is basically looking to build into our history in that. So let's just put that into the equation. So anyway guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.